By the way, as soon as John says in the beginning, he's giving you the Greek text for the Septuagint text for Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God creates the heavens and the earth. So he's the creator. So John 1, he says, and this one tabernacled amongst us. We beheld his glory as the glory of the only begotten Son of God. This one who created put on a tent so that we could behold him. He tabernacled amongst us. He dwelt amongst us. And he specifically uses the tabernacle language. So this is, John 1 is huge on this. I think John is the one who says the most about this divine identity. Things like this, John 14. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Because Philip says to him, show us the Father. And he says, how long have I been with you? And oh, by the way,
I love this.
Here's how wrapped up this is. I've mentioned this before. He says this. He says, I put this out in print before. He says, Yeshua says to them, to all the disciples, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, here's what's key. Here's what's key to that. Anybody that's read the Hebrew Scriptures, and by the way, let me go back to this. The only Bible that those who write our apostolic scriptures have, the only Bible that they have is the Hebrew Scriptures. Historically, nothing else exists. So if that's my only Bible, if I hear Jesus, Yeshua, say, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life, I know two things right up front. If I know my Hebrew Scriptures, I know that in the Hebrew Scripture, that the Torah, the instructions of God are called the way, the truth, and the life. Because the Torah gives you the direction, the way. It is the truth. Psalm 119, thy word is truth. And it gives you life. It tells you how to have a quality of life and a quantity of life. I also know this, that in the Hebrew Scriptures, Yahweh is called the way, the truth, and the life. So when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, anybody hearing this is saying he has just equated himself with the Torah and with Yahweh. He thinks he's the Torah written. And he thinks that he thinks that he's Yahweh. He's equating himself with Yahweh. I mean, if anybody stepped up and said, anybody in the first century said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, they have just equated themselves with Torah and with Yahweh. They've said they're God. He thinks he's God. He actually thinks he's God, which is blasphemous unless it's true. Now, beyond that, when he says he's the way, the truth, and the life, here's where it really ties together. Each of those words in Hebrew, way, Derek, truth, emet, or emunah, both begin with aleph, and life, Chaim. Those are the same three letters, aleph, chet, and dalet, that make up the word echad, or Deuteronomy 6:4. He's just said, when he says he's the way, the truth, and the life, he's just said, I'm echad. Deuteronomy 6:4. I'm part of the divine identity. I am echad. You keep saying, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Echad. I'm here. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. I'm Torah. I'm Yahweh. I'm echad. I'm a part of the divine identity. That's huge. That's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that. I think we have to wrestle with these texts because we don't get any bigger than the issue of who is Yeshua in relationship to the Scriptures, the Hebrew Scriptures, and beyond, and the first century believers and what they thought about who he was. And he's always saying to them, who do you think that I am? Who do men say that I am? Who do you say that I am? And then he's doing things that only Yahweh could do in the Hebrew Scriptures. He's doing the things. So we put it in 5 categories. an acronym for it's called HANDS. The honors, the attributes, the names, the deeds, and the seat. That is the throne. So put in those. He has the honors that are due to God. Yeshua does. The attributes, the names, the deeds, and the throne, the seat. He takes all of those that would have been that anybody in the first century. We don't have a New Testament yet. All you have is the Hebrew Scriptures. That's all you have yet. And if I would have said to you, who can forgive sin? Who can walk on water? Who can know the thoughts of another person? The only person you'd have been able to say could do that in the Hebrew Scripture was Yahweh. And yet, Yeshua can forgive sins, can walk on water, can say, I know what you're thinking, and be right. He has the honors, the attributes, the names, the deeds, and the seat. He sits on the same throne. That's huge. That is huge. So, doesn't get any bigger than that. All right.
Okay.
Let's get back. Yes.
Did he sit on the same throne, or one of the visions showed there were several thrones, maybe couples in plural?
Daniel 7:13 says. Daniel 7:13 says that there's two thrones, plural. Daniel 7:13 says, I saw this one who was the Ancient of Days, that's the Father. And he describes him much like, and he says he's seated on a throne. And by the way, this throne is a chariot of fire. And there's thousands and 10,000 times 10,000s around this throne. That's why I have a problem with people who say, forgive me, but they say, you'll forgive me for this, but people say, my mom died and she's around the throne of God. I'm going, I don't think your mom can get near the throne of God. Bless her heart. There's about 10,000 times 10,000 ahead of her. And they're not letting her get near the throne. Okay, I know what they mean by that. But my point is that he says this throne has fire emanating out of it. Fire is coming off this thing like you wouldn't believe. Ezekiel says, I looked up and saw this chariot with wheels within wheels. And it's on fire. It looks like, I can't describe it. It gives some kind of vague description of it. It's very bright. It's almost blinding. But it's a chariot. And it's got warriors all around it. They're on fire. And they've got swords that are on fire. The whole thing's on fire. They can destroy stuff. This is the art. Now, and then he says, and then one like the Son of Man came up to the Ancient of Days, and to him was given dominion and power and authority, that all the nations will serve him. This is why we get to Matthew, at the end of Matthew, the high priest says, all right, fine, tell me, are you the Son of the living God? And he says, yeah, I am. And by the way, the next time you see me, this is Daniel 7:13, you're going to see me riding on the clouds of glory. He brings in Daniel 7:13, and he says, I'm the one seated that he uses. I'm seated on the throne. That's Psalm 110, verse 1. So he's just fused Daniel 7:13 with Psalm 110:1. He says, you're going to see me seated on the throne and riding on the clouds of glory. And the high priest goes, blasphemy. He thinks he's God. And then Pilate says to him, by the way, I mentioned this army early on. He has an angel army. Because he's the Lord of hosts. Lord of armies. He says to Pilate, you think you can take me? You kidding me? I can call 10,000 angels and they'd be here like that. You can't nail me here. You're be kidding me. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I'm laying this down. Please, think you can take me. I created the universe. I got an army. By the way, the angel of the Lord, read this one. The angel of the Lord goes through the camp of the Assyrians, and in one night, this guy's stealth, in one night, wipes out 185,000. By himself. That's one bad dude. You can wipe out 185,000 people, they don't even see it coming. That's stealth. How can you fight something you can't even see? By himself, the angel of the Lord takes out 185,000. And I don't think he broke a sweat. They didn't even know what hit him. 185,000. To get your mind around that, we can fill the king, not the kingdom anymore, but the Safeco field. We can fill it with 60,000. Fill it, empty it, fill it, empty it, fill it, empty it. We still got another 5,000 to go. To get your mind wrapped around the numbers. That's crazy. This is the angel of the Lord. One night. That's one night's work. They can't even see him coming. They don't even know what hit him. And he said, the pilot says, I can take you. He says, you can't take me. You gotta be kidding me. I got an army that's thousands and thousands and thousands. And by the way, they're stealth. They got swords. You can't even see them coming. And they fly around the skies in chariots. Ezekiel saw this. So did what's the prophet? Elijah, yeah. Chariot of fire. He says, we're in trouble. He says, we're not in trouble. What do you mean we're in trouble? Open his eyes. Chariots of fire in the mountains around Israel. God has an unseen army that no one can see. It's stealth. It's on fire. They got swords. You can't take them because you can't even see them.
He still does.
And he still does.
I was going to say that's true today.
Yeah, it's true today. He still has an army, an angel army that's huge. They still move on the clouds. This is why we have the pillar of cloud by day and the fire by night. This is his chariot throne. He sits enthroned above the cherubim. All right. This is what we're dealing with. This is who we're dealing with. And I think it's huge. I think we need to understand this. All right, back to our for the experiences, but we have to every now and then. All right, where were we at? Thank you. All right.